Hey everyone. Sorry that my uploads have been sporadic as of late. I've been busy trying to set up my new place, and the weather has not been cooperating. I want to say that essentially all of December was a giant rainstorm. But we're now into the new year, 2022, and hopefully that everyone is still safe and sound. I hope that you guys are still protecting yourself from COVID and just, take care of yourself. But we're finally getting a clear night after what was essentially an entire month's worth of rain, which I'm glad, we need it in San Francisco and the Bay Area in general, and California as a whole. We need this rain. So I'm glad that it rained as much as it did. And I finally catch a break in the weather, and I'm taking a break from setting up my new place, and I just want an image. So I want to take this opportunity to actually show you guys a way to do a blind polar alignment in a situation or in a location where you do not have visibility in the direction of north and the Polaris star. So in this video, I'm going to be using Nina and its 3-point polar alignment tool to help me essentially polar align in the blind, because I'll try to show you just exactly what I'm dealing with here. But if I look straight ahead, this mount is pointed roughly in the direction of north, and well, it's just a wall of building, so I can't see north. So somehow, some way, I need a way to be able to polar align. And Nina has a tool for me to do that. So let's get started. Okay, so before we actually do our blind polar alignment, we need to make sure that Nina is already set up. Now, this is going to be a little bit confusing because as far as I know, as of the time of the recording, which is, I don't even know what today is, sometime in the first or second week of January, the normal version of Nina does not have this 3-point polar alignment. What you need to do, you need to actually download the beta version, and then once you have downloaded the beta version, you need to go to the plugins section. You want to go to the available tab and find this plugin called 3-point polar alignment, and then you're going to install it. And you're going to install it, and if this needs to be updated, they'll tell you that it needs to be updated. But either way, once you have it installed or updated, it's going to be in your install tab, and it's going to ask you to do a quick restart of Nina. Super quick, super easy. Anybody can do it, but just make sure that when you're using Nina, you have the latest beta version. Once again, this tool is not in the normal version. You have to use the latest beta version. Now, once you have that, the next thing you need to do, you need to go to the imaging tab. And under the imaging tab, there should be a sort of a sub tab that says 3-point polar alignment. And this is where you go into adjust your settings and tell Nina to actually place off where Polaris should be and how to position your mount to be polar aligned. Now, of course, with that being said, you need to make sure that your plate solving, it's already set up. I personally like to use ASTAP because I think the ASTAP communicates really well with Nina, and I haven't had a problem with it whatsoever. The only times that I have a problem with plate solving is user error. So highly recommend using ASTAP for your plate solving needs, especially when you're using Nina. Now, if all of that sound like gibberish to you and you're not familiar with Nina, don't worry. In another video, most likely the next one, I'm going to do a tutorial on how to set up Nina and how to use Nina to connect to your mount and run a session. So if everything I'm talking about sounds like gibberish, don't worry. I will do another video on how to set up Nina. Okay, so now that you've got Nina all set up for your blind polar alignment, the next thing, all you need to do is do what you normally would when you can see Polaris and manually polar align. And that is to make sure that your mount is as level as possible and essentially point the mount in the direction of north. Now, it doesn't have to be pinpoint north because, well, most of the time, if you have to do this, you can't see north, so you can't really use Polaris. So just use a compass or maybe even use your phone to just point the mount in the direction of north. And after that, once you've positioned your mount in the direction of north, then you can use Nina to sort of take over and make your fine adjustment to make sure that your mount is polar aligned. Okay, so right now I've got the mount in the home position. And home position for most mounts, it's going to point your telescope in the direction of north. But obviously, that is not going to work for me. So all you need to do is just slew your telescope to anywhere in the night sky that has a view to the night sky. Like, you basically want to point it to anywhere that doesn't have any natural or man-made obstructions. So for me, for my area, I'm just going to tell my mount to slew over to the direction of Aldebaran. And once you're there, you can go on with the next step of polar alignment. And the next step of polar alignment, sorry, I'm sorry if my mount is loud, but it's an old mount. But all you need to do now is you're going to use your telescope and your camera to take a series of pictures, and Nina is going to use those pictures to plate solve and tell you exactly how much to adjust your mount, adjust your azimuth and your altitude. Okay, you're almost ready to do your polar alignment. But before we do that, I do want to go over some of the options for Nina's 3-point polar alignment, or as I like to keep calling it, the blind polar alignment. So you want to make sure that manual mode is off, because if you turn this on, then you have to manually slew the mount to the next target for the next set of image. So just make sure you leave this off. Measure point distance is how much the mount is going to move in the RA direction from one picture to the next for plate solving Polaris, not Polaris, the celestial North Pole. I believe the default is at 10 degrees, but you can set this at anything you want, like 10 degrees, 20 degrees. Of course, you don't want to go crazy and be like, and set this to like 90 degrees, and that sort of defeats the purpose. But for me, 10 degrees works really well. Telescope move rate, that's sort of determined by your mount, and I just leave that at default. I don't touch this. Direction east, essentially what this is going to do is going to tell the RA axis to slew in the direction of east. If you turn this off, then it's going to go in the opposite direction, in the direction of west. But for me, east is fine, so I'm just going to leave it on. Okay, and this is the important part. Start from current position. In my experience, it may be different for you, but because I have a lot of man-made obstructions, because I have buildings and condos all around me, I'm going to tell Nina to start from current position, because remember, I slew my telescope purposely to an area in the night sky where I know is going to be clear and free of a lot of man-made obstructions. So I'm going to turn this on, because otherwise, if I leave it off, Nina has its own set of coordinates, and a lot of times, in my experience, it will just slew in another direction where I have another building to deal with. So that's not going to work. So for me, I'm going to turn this on. And once you turn it on, you can see that all those coordinates are gone. Now, filter, I'm gonna leave it as a current. And one thing about, doing this blind polar alignment, because you're place solving, you're relying on stars and star shape and star patterns. I find it to be better if you either use a general purpose light pollution filter or no filter at all. You can, of course, still use a narrowband filter to do this blind polar alignment, but a narrowband filter is going to reduce the star size. It may even block some of the starlight from coming through. So for me, I just use a general purpose light pollution filter or no filter at all. But for now, filter, just set the current is fine. Time is going to be your exposure time for each individual image that Nina is going to take. So 2 seconds is good enough. Binning 1 by 1, I'm going to leave that as default. Now gain, if you're using a dedicated astro camera, you want to set this to your Unity game, whatever that is. But if you're using a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, this is essentially going to be your ISO. And so for me, because I don't care about the image quality, all I need is for my camera to take pictures of the night sky and see bright dots in the form of stars. I'm going to set my gains to as high as possible, 6400, so that I can get as much stars in that one image in under 2 seconds as much as possible. Solve with search radius, the default was 10, so I left it at 10. And now you are completely ready to go. And all you need to do is press play and Nina will do its thing. So as soon as you press play, Nina will take its first image from the current position. And after that, it's going to plate solve that image. That is a really loud either bike or car, but either way, that's really loud. So as you can see, it took a picture and now it's solving it. Once it's done solving, it's going to slew, remember I set it at 10 degrees, it's going to slew 10 degrees to the next measurement point, and then it's going to settle. I set this mount settling time for about 20 seconds, just to make sure that the mount and the telescope stop shaking for my next set of picture. So now it's going to take the second picture at 2 seconds, and then Nina is going to try to play solve that. Hopefully, it'll be successful. I have a slow computer. Okay, awesome. Now it's moving to the third and final point. One thing about this is that you want to make sure you pick a target, and you want to make sure you set your degree of between shots to make sure that as your telescope is slewing, that is not going to hit your tripod. So just be careful what target and what region of the night sky you pick. Okay, so now it's taking the final image. Once it's taking all 3 images, and assuming that all 3 pictures are good, your star shape is nice and sharp, then it should be able to plate solve and tell you exactly how much you need to move your mount to be polar aligned. Okay. So as you can see, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm still recording. As you can see here, Nina is telling me that for my azimuth, I need to move less. Not less, I need to move left. And then for my altitude, I need to move up. So this is the one thing I love about Nina, is that a lot of their features are extremely intuitive. It's I feel like anybody can understand this, unlike some other astrophotography related softwares. So now, all I need to do is essentially do exactly what Nina is telling me to do. It's telling me to move up and then move left and then move left. And all this time, Nina will continue to tell my camera to take pictures of the night sky, and it will continuously place off, and this will be continuously updated as I move my mount. So I am actually going to move my altitude first, and as I move it, as it places off, it's that value of -32 is going to change. If you move in the right direction, that value will get closer and closer to 0. If you move in the wrong direction, it will obviously increase. So let's see what this tells me. It's coming through. Okay, there it is. So it went from the previous -32 to now -11. So I'm moving in the right direction. Now, one other thing is that it's very easy for you to move too much and then you have to go backwards. So if you are not familiar with, just how much to move the mount by, take it slowly. So I'm going to try to move this again. And then just wait for Nina to place off the next image. You may come to realize that this is a slower process than just manually polar aligning, but you know what? This is a whole lot better than not being a polar align at all. And I have tried this at my old place where I could see Polaris. Okay, see? Now it's telling me to go down because I've gone over a little bit too much. Anyways, as I was saying, I actually find this to be slightly more accurate than what I can do manually, because I find that my guiding performance is a little bit better when I use this sort of a blind polar alignment, and I use place solving to figure out where celestial North Pole is. Let's see what this tells me now. Come on. Okay, so once again, I've gone too far. It's telling me to move back up. So you have to, do your trial and error. This may take a little bit longer if you, depending on how trigger happy you are with your hands. But I'm gonna leave that at -3 for now and actually move over to the azimuth. So now it's telling me to move left. So I'm gonna adjust the knob on my left. I'm gonna do this slowly. And obviously, if you have a faster computer, you can probably play solve a little bit faster than this. So that always helps. But let's see if I'm moving in the right direction. That is a really loud vehicle, whatever that is. Okay, I am moving in the right direction. It went from 122 to 104, so I'm just gonna keep doing this. And I'm probably gonna speed this up or time lapse it so you don't see me just fiddling around with my mount. But this is generally the process. Your goal is to try to get as close to 0, 0, 0, 0 all across the board as you can. It's very difficult to achieve zeros across the board, because I feel like you never can do that. And when you can get close enough to polar aligned, honestly, you're gonna have good enough of a guiding performance to make sure that your stars are still nice and sharp. So I'm gonna keep doing this until I can get as close to 0 as possible, or until I'm satisfied. So I'm probably gonna speed up the rest of this segment. Okay. I am very happy with this polar alignment. I don't think I can do any better, to be honest. So I'm gonna call this good. So all I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna lock up my adjustment knobs, make sure that my mount is nice and tight and secured. And honestly, I'm going to tell Nina to stop because I am now polar aligned. I am very, very happy with this total error. That's better than what I can do manually already. So I'm gonna stop here. I'm just gonna press stop, and you don't need to touch the mount anymore. You are now polar aligned, and you can move on with the rest of your imaging session. I should speak a little bit about what I'm imaging tonight. And for tonight's image, I'm going to be using my Redcat 71 from William Optics to capture the Flaming Star Nebula. And it's one of the more awesome winter deep sky object that I wasn't able to image last year. So I hope that tonight I will be able to do it justice. And I'll be using my Canon 60D DSLR paired with a dual narrowband Opton L Extreme filter to really capture all that hydrogen alpha and whatever oxygen data there is. So yeah, I hope this will work out. I'm looking forward to it. This will actually be my first image from my new place. So hopefully something good turns out. All right. I've already started my session. I think I'm maybe 10 or 15 minutes in, and I just want to show you that, you know, doing this blind polar alignment with Nina, it's absolutely worthwhile. To be honest, even if you can see Polaris, being able to use plate solving to be as precise as you can with your polar alignment is just a great thing. And you know, you can tell how good your polar alignment is by, you know, it's not a direct reference, but it is a way to see how well you're aligned. And you can check that by checking your guiding performance. Now, I'm not gonna lie, my guiding chart looks terrible right now. I'm at what? I'm like what 2 arcs second with my guiding error. But you know, when you are guiding from the city, you're never going to have good guiding performance because you're dealing with light pollution, you're dealing with seeing problems. So yeah, I'm you know, I'm actually very familiar with this sort of guiding performance, and I don't care about the graphs. I care about how sharp and round my stars are. So I'm going to show you. This is a sub that came in a few minutes ago, and if I were to zoom in, my stars are pretty much pinpoint. And you know, this is all I need to know that I am well polar aligned. So hopefully that this was helpful to you. And you know, if you're in a situation like I am where you can no longer see Polaris due to natural obstructions or man-made obstructions, or you just want a better way to polar align, I highly encourage you to try out Nina's 3-point polar alignment. I think it's very awesome. And honestly, thanks to Lena, I can image at my new place. Otherwise, there's no way that I'm going to be able to polar align an image. So I hope that this was helpful to you. And until next time, I wish you all good health and clear skies, everyone. Take care. Bye.